The following contest is a submission match. On the way to the ring, from Richmond, Virginia, Mickie James. And the opponent, from Toronto, Canada, Trish Stratus.
Everyone says that Mickie James is supposed to be nuts. But tell me, JR, how could someone that crazy win the women's title?
Well, King, I'm no doctor, but as far as I can tell, Mickie James is a complete psycho. That went nowhere.
It looks like they've slowed the match down a little. And I think that's some good strategy right there.
It certainly is. I'm sure they're well acquainted with the old expression, fools rush in.
Is that why you always seem to be in such a hurry, JR?
I think I've eaten a little too much good Oklahoma barbecue in my day, King, to hurry anyway.
Can you be any more biased, JR? How about some fair and balanced commentary?
There's no doubt that Mickie James is an outstanding competitor, but she's got a head full of bad wiring or something.
Yeah, but that submission is locked in, JR, and this is a tough hole to break.
It sure is, King, and even if you break the hole, it takes its toll on you. Oh boy, the adrenaline is pumping. I think this could be the beginning of the end.
No, it can't end like this. Opponent build this kind of...
Well, all I can say is someone's been eating their vitamins and saying their prayers. That's a short climb, but look at this. Look at this. You talk about a house of fire, you're seeing it right here.
Yeah? Well, somebody better put out...
The submission is locked in. This could be huge.
Oh my gosh, JR! You can't go long without tapping out to this.
Boy, when you look at these superstars, it really... No! No! Help!
You know that the referee doesn't include vision.
What a submission hold! Could this be a tap out?
It isn't. The hole can't be broken. You can't take this kind of pain for long. You gotta respect the commitment and the dedication of these superstars to their careers.
No question about it, King. Every superstar on the roster has had to make more sacrifices than any other professional athlete I know.
It really is like being... Wow! There's a hole you don't want to find yourself in, JR.
You sure don't, King. We've seen many a superstar tap out to this. What a reversal. I think this crowd has decided to exercise the right of free speech.
God bless... What a counter! This has gone beyond just being a match, JR. I think these superstars genuinely hate each other.
There's no love lost between these competitors, that's for sure. If looks could kill, somebody would be pushing up daisies right now.
And you've got to admit, that makes for a much more interesting match, JR.
It sure does. But I just hope these superstars can settle their differences in the ring and leave it at that.
each other here tonight, JR?
I had a feeling their paths were going to cross sooner or later. And I'm glad I'm here to see it.
Me too. It almost makes it worth having to sit next to you and listen to those corny expressions of yours. What the heck is a government mule anyway?
That's what you get beat like when you're in the middle of a slobber knock. And if you don't have the guts to stick around, you might run like a scalded dog with a case of the limber tape.
All right, enough. I'm getting a translator before I have to come out here with you again. Well, from the looks of things, it's not hard to tell how this one's going to go.
What are you talking about, King? I think this is still an extremely competitive match that could go either way.
You know, JR, it's obvious that the only exercise you get is stretching the truth or jumping to conclusions.
Well, judging from the shape I'm in, I don't appear to be doing too much.
Oh, man, I've been in this hole before, JR. This brings back some bad memories.
I can understand why, King. I can't even imagine the pain being incurred.
Superstars are getting some feedback from the crowd, JR.
Nothing wrong with that, King. That's what we want to hear.
So, how do you think this one's going to turn out, JR?
Honestly, King, I have absolutely no idea. Anything can happen here in the WWE.
But you've got to have a guess, right?
I might, but I'd rather keep it to myself if it's all the same as you, King. Boy, what a match. I wouldn't even hazard a guess as to who's going to win this thing.
What? Have you got both your contacts in one eye, JR? It's been obvious to me since the start of the match.
Oh, really?
Oh, boy. This looks like an all-or-nothing move. Man, Mickie James is such a cutie. I wonder what it'd take to get her to come home with me.
I don't think it would be too hard, King. I've heard she followed lots of people home. Oh, boy, this is not going to be an easy hole to escape from.
It sure isn't, JR. I've been on the wrong end of that one many times.
Mickie James has... And there's the submission. There might not be any way out of it.
There better be, but we're going to see a tap out right here. I've been looking forward to this match.
The submission has been expertly applied, and now it's just a matter of time.
That's right, JR. You've either got to break the hold or get broken by it.
Boy, I don't know what this is, but this girl is a bit too, no doubt about it.
That's a little harsh, JR. I think of her as
Fur King. The simple fact of the matter is that this young woman is several sandwiches short of the picnic.
So she's watching her diet. What's so bad about that, JR? Oh, boy. These top rope moves can go either way. You can look at any professional sport you want, JR, and you will find more than the WWE Superstars.
You're not wrong, King. They compete every week until they are physically incapable of continuing. There's no off-season in the WWE.
We're not talking about running a ball down the field or slapping a puck into a net. This is serious physical competition.
It sure is. The toughest athletes in the world are on the WWE roster, and that's a fact.
I've got to say,
Not be, King. These are some of the finest athletes in all of sports entertainment.
I know that, JR. I'm just saying that this has been a great match so far.
It has indeed, King, and I think it's only going to get better from here on out.
Uh-oh. Talk about a hole you don't want to find yourself in.
No kidding. This will rearrange your anatomy.
Are you enjoying the match so far?
Yes, I am. These top rope moves are always difference makers, for better or worse.
After some of the things we've seen in this ring, JR, I think we'd better remind the folks at home not to try this stuff themselves.
That's for damn sure, King. The WWE superstars are trained professionals.
And even they don't walk away from every match in the best shape.
They sure don't. We've seen more than one superstar taken out of here on a stretcher.
Look at this, JR. Can you imagine SmackDown putting on a match half as good as this?
No disrespect intended for our SmackDown colleagues, but no, I can't, King. I truly believe her opponent. All of that.
Listen to the crowd, JR. I think they've got something to say to these superstars. I don't care how tough you are, JR. No one can take this kind of pain for long.
You're absolutely right, King. We've seen many superstars tap out to this very hold.
These superstars are putting on a great match so far, JR. But if they drop the ball, these fans will let them hear about it.
I don't think that's going to happen, King. These competitors know that their paychecks come straight from the WWE fans. They're not going to let them down.
Yeah, but if they don't keep the fans happy...
If wishes were fishes, the world would be an ocean. But that's not the case now, is it?
Boy, it's obvious these superstars have done their homework on each other.
They sure have, and this is one hell of an exam.
Let's hope it's not their final exam, JR. I'd love to see them go at it again.
Well, if I think the fans have their way, you'll get your wish, King. These superstars are going to put each other through wrestling hell tonight.
They've already got a pretty good start on that, JR.
They have indeed, King.
Yeah, that's where things get dangerous. If you're too proud to admit that it's not your night, you might wind up risking your career for a single match.
But at the same time, King, no one makes it up the ladder without pushing themselves to the very limit. It's a very fine line to walk.
These superstars sure aren't going easy on each other here tonight.
What do you expect, King? This isn't ballet, you know.
Oh, really, JR? Gosh, tell me more about your in-ring.
Well, to my credit.
Is going to get beat by the proverbial government mule.
I'm not playing favorites, King. I might have issues with certain superstars as human beings, but I respect their in-ring abilities nonetheless.
JR, you're so full of it that you've got diarrhea of the mouth and constipation of the brain.
This match is going to continue until someone's completely debilitated. And considering the resiliency of these superstars, that's not going to be easy.
That's for sure.
And I won't expect any less from them, King. Like them or not, you've got to respect the tenacity of each and every WWE superstar.
See, JR, this is exactly why Raw is the #1 brand in all of sports.
Oh, man, I think we're about to see a high-risk move here.
I think I know who's going to win this match, but I don't want to say. I'm afraid I'll jinx it.
Come on, King. Don't tell me you're superstitious.
Of course not, JR. I'm not superstitious because I know that's unlucky.
This is a classic matchup, King. I'm so glad the WWE fans are getting the chance to see it.
Yeah, I'm happy that I'm getting to see it. Yes! That was an incredible move! What strategy?
Strategy my Oklahoma ass. That's cheap, plain and simple.
Any superstar shows the slightest lost the match.
That's true. No matter how beat up you are, you can't ever let your opponent know the extent of your injury.
And that's easier said than done, JR. The human body can only absorb so much punishment.
This capacity crowd is making their opinions known tonight.
They sure are, JR, and I love to hear it. Let me tell you, JR, you won't see action like this anywhere except on Raw.
That's for sure, King. There's not another brand of sports entertainment out there that can compare with Raw.
Now, if only we could get that through Michael Cole and Taz's heads, then they'd stop running their mouths on SmackDown. Can you believe we actually get paid to do this job, JR?
It's like a dream come true, King. Except when I have to sit here and listen to you drool over the deal.
Come on, JR. You know I'm helpless when it comes to puppies.
Oh, I know, King. And that's why I'm bringing a pitcher of ice water out here with me next time. You're putting a lot on the line when you climb that turnbuckle. What an incredible performance by these phenomenal superstars.
Did you expect anything less, JR? I mean, look who's in the ring right now.
No, I didn't, King. I had high expectations, and I'm happy to say that this match has exceeded them all. This is Raw action at its finest. That's why Raw is...
Oh, man! That's gonna change the tone of this match, JR.
Yeah, and not for the better either. I wish the ref would actually pay attention to what's going on.
You talk about ruthless aggression. Look at the way these superstars have been going after each other.
They're not playing with kid gloves, that's for sure.
We knew we were gonna see a heck of a match, but this might turn out to be... No. Go ahead and say it, JR.
All right, I will. I think this one's got all the makings of a bona fide slobber knocker.
I'm not sure I agree with what the crowd is chanting, JR, but I guess it's their right.
You're damn right it is. It comes from the price of admission. These superstars are in terrific shape, and that comes as no surprise whatsoever.
No kidding. If you don't have that conditioning, you're not going to last long in a match.
And that's only I try to stay out of the way whenever possible. So, King, any predictions about the outcome of this match?
Oh, no. Every time I make a guess as to who's going to win, I never hear the end of it from you.
Maybe that wouldn't happen if you got one right every now and then. Open your eyes, Ref. How did you let that happen?
The WWE match is like a murder mystery. It's no good if there's no foul play.
Sounds like this crowd's got something on their minds, King.
Who cares about them, JR? Look what's going on in the ring. I don't think these superstars have any intention of taking it easy on each other tonight.
That's not what they signed up for, King. And quite frankly, I think these fans would be disappointed if they didn't go all out.
Well, that's easy for the fans to say. They've never set foot inside that ring.
No, but they spend their hard-earned dollars to watch what goes on inside it. And without them, we'll all be out of the job. A lot of... Did you see that? Ring the damn bell! You can't let somebody get away with that!
I don't think the ref saw it, JR. And if the ref doesn't see it, it's not illegal.
I tell you, King, I've got no earthly idea how these superstars can maintain week after week.
It's not easy, JR. There's no off-season. It's not like you've got 6 months to recover after WrestleMania.
That's for damn sure. And that's why I don't think there can be any doubt in anyone's mind that the superstars of the WWE are the greatest athletes in the world. I think this crowd's giving these superstars a piece of the prize, King.
Are you sure they can afford it, JR? I almost feel bad for Taz and Michael Cole. They never get to call matches as good as this.
SmackDown's had its fair share of exciting matchups, King, but I'm inclined to agree with you. There's nothing like watching the Raw superstars perform live.
And we're so lucky, JR. We get to see them every single week. I talked to these superstars backstage before the match, and I don't think I've ever seen competitors so ready to get it on.
And that's coming through loud and clear here tonight. There's no room for error when you're on the top rope.
This match has the potential to be an instant classic, and I think these fans are too stupid to realize it.
How can you say that, King? How can you insult the intelligence of these WWE fans?
Well, I heard that we gave them
Looks like the King here tonight. He must have gotten up on the wrong side of somebody else's bed this morning. I tell you, King, sometimes I get exhausted just watching these superstars compete.
I know what you mean, JR. I don't think most people appreciate what incredible athletes these WWEs. Looks like someone's heading for the high rent district.
I'm not so sure this one's about winning or losing anymore. I think it's become more personal than that.
Of course it's personal, JR. Anytime you step into the ring with someone who wants to beat you down in order to win the match, it's personal.
I guess I can't argue with that, King. I just wonder if they'll be able to settle their differences in this match, or if it's going to wind up bigger than that.
I think I see where this one's going, JR.
I disagree entirely. I bet my Oklahoma Sooner ass that this one isn't even close to being over.
That's a pretty big bet, JR. Are you sure you're able to cover it? You think this is going to be a back and forth kind of match? Or do you think this is going to be pretty one-sided, JR?
I couldn't tell you, King. These superstars are so unpredictable that you can never tell how a match is going to go.
That was a long way to go for a simple, I don't know, JR. Wow! Listen to these fans, JR!
You can fool some of the people all the time, and all the people some of the time, but there's no fooling the WWE fans at all.
I think these superstars have a legitimate beef with each other, JR.
So do I, King. I'm not so sure their issues with each other are going to be solved with one match.
I hope not. I'd love to see them go
If one of these superstars starts to build momentum, it could be the beginning of the end of this match.
That's right, JR. You don't see a lot of matches won with one or two big moves.
You sure don't. You've got to lay the groundwork first. I'll tell you what, King, the WWE superstars are about the greatest athletes you'll find in any sport, period.
What do you mean, just about, JR? Can you actually think of anywhere else that you can see athletes of this caliber?
I was just going for a little humility there, King. I'm not surprised it was lost on you.
Oh, boy. These fans have got something on their minds, JR.
Well, they paid for their tickets, King, and they've got a right to say whatever they want.
I think I know who's going to win this one, JR.
Oh, really? Enlighten us, King.
Wait a second. Why are you so eager to hear my prediction?
Because I want to know who's going to win. And 9 times out of 10, it's not the superstar you pick.
Of these superstars is unbelievable.
No doubt about that, King. The fans are getting their money's worth here tonight.
I think it's pretty obvious which way this one's going to go, JR.
Well, from my perspective, this is still anybody's match.
I'd like to see things.
This is a risky move. It could prove to be disastrous.
I wonder if SmackDown's going to have anything nearly this good next Friday.
I think we both know the answer to that. Compete with a match.
I think we're going to find out just how much punishment the human body can withstand here tonight.
I think you're right, King. These superstars seem...
You, JR. big or go home.
Well, these superstars sure aren't going home until this match is settled once and for all. Would you look at that? A blatantly illegal maneuver. That should be a disqualification.
You might be right, JR, but I don't hear the ring bell. This match is still going. Did you see that, JR? What great strategy.
Strategy, hell. That was a blatant violation of the rules. Well, you can't ever accuse the WWE fans of being shy about saying what's on their minds.
You sure can't, JR, and I don't think we'd have it any other way. Man, is there even going to be anything left of these superstars by the time they're done?
Not if they have their way, King. Everything they came in here with tonight is going to be left in that ring, mark my words.
I hope these fans appreciate it, JR. These superstars are putting it all on the line for them right here tonight. I'd ask you who you want to win this matchup, JR, but it's been pretty obvious since the start of the show who you're pulling for.
I'm trying to remain as objective as I can, King. Quite frankly, I'd rather see a good competitive matchup than see a particular superstar win or lose this thing.
Oh, come on. Everyone knows you play favorites. You're always trying to kiss up to the fans by talking up whoever they're cheering for.
I've never been a kiss up to my... And I'm flattered that the WWE fans agree with me as often as they do.
I don't know how much more of this I can stand to listen to, JR. You know what the difference between you and I-95 is? You can turn off I-95. Remind me to never try and step between these guys, JR.
That would be hazardous to your health for sure, King.
You think these fans have gotten their money's worth tonight, JR?
If they haven't yet, I'm sure they're going to by the end of this match.
Well, I don't say this too often, but I completely agree with you. I feel like the luckiest guy in the world, JR. I can't believe I actually get paid to do this job.
Well, don't let Mr. McMahon hear you say that, King, or you might wind up having to do it for free.
That's true. I don't want to say that Mr. McMahon's cheap, JR, but I heard he won't even tip a canoe. I don't think that these superstars have even contemplated the fact that they might lose.
I'm sure they have. That's not the kind of attitude you come in with and expect to pick up the win.
You're right about that, JR. If you can't see having your arm raised by the referee... I think this one could go either way, JR.
It sure could. Until the referee calls the bell, there's still any more. Feeling that this has all the makings of an instant classic.
That's probably just gas, JR.
Well, I did have some good old Oklahoma barbecue before tonight's show, but I don't think that's it.
I'd hate to be that referee, JR. Can you imagine having to tell one of these superstars no?
Boy, I think I've had nightmares about trying to do something like that to him. I'm sure these competitors have studied each other very carefully.
This match would be over by now if they hadn't, JR. You never get into the ring without doing your homework.
That would be a recipe for disaster for sure, King.
Oh boy, you might want to close your eyes, JR. This one could be ugly.
You're damn right it could. Too ugly. And that's what this business is all about. It's not ballet yet.
These superstars are beating out of each other.
They paid to see, and they're getting their money's worth tonight.
They sure are, JR. There's no question these superstars are earning their paychecks. You know, JR, when I saw this match on paper, I wasn't too sure about it. But it's turned out a lot better than I thought it would.
I'm not at all surprised, King. I knew this was going to be a terrific matchup.
Oh, come on, JR. You're just talking through your hat. Speaking of hats, when are you going to get rid of that silly thing anyway?
Right about the time you stop wearing that crown, I'd say.
I thought I'd pick the winner before the match started, JR, but now I'm having second thoughts.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, King. Usually I wonder if you've even had first thoughts.
These superstars are at the top of their game, JR.
I guess a little sportsmanship is too much to ask for.
I guess so, JR, but where's the fun in that? These superstars are so unpredictable, this match could go another 30 seconds or 30 minutes.
I hope it's the latter, King. It wouldn't hurt my feelings one bit if this match lasted the rest of the night.
These superstars are going to tear each other apart.
That's exactly what the fans paid to see, King, and they're not going to go home disappointed.
Well, he did what he came to do. He beat down his opponent until he could get the pinfall.
That's the way it's
Here's
done,
your
King.
winner,
Nothing ambiguous about that.
Mickie.
You're right about that, JR. He clearly dominated his opponent.